So if you've been following the channel, you would know that over the last 2 seasons, things, regardless to say, have gotten messy with the Modern Warfare story. And what I mean by that is characters like Soap MacTavish and Ivan, who both died during the Modern Warfare 3 campaign, came back as operators within the multiplayer for the game. This was confusing to everyone. I made a bunch of videos on it, speculations ensued, and we finally got some answers with Season 5. So does this mean that they are finally putting in some perspective to their Modern Warfare story, or does this mean they're kind of just taking the easy way out? It's a little bit of both, and I'm going to show you what I mean throughout this story. But essentially, as you can tell by the title, it has been confirmed. Soap's dead, and Ivan's dead. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, let me explain. So generally speaking, with every single new season, what they do is put out a cinematic trailer when you first launch the game. However, when Season 5 came out yesterday, we knew that Ivan, a character who died within the Modern Warfare 3 campaign, was coming back, and I was expecting maybe a cutscene explaining it, or maybe even giving some backstory or a flashback on this character. However, what we got was the same trailer that we were given 2 weeks before the launch of the season, which is essentially a way for them to show off their bundles and sell more microtransactions. Needless to say, I wasn't very happy about this. I have a whole video on my second channel if you want to check it out. It'll be linked at the end of the video. Anyway, that's what happened yesterday. So let's start out by talking about Ivan. He was a character within Modern Warfare 3 who was actually a bad guy. He was one of the characters that helped Makarov break out of the prison during the very first mission of the campaign. Later, when they kind of had this meetup, we were shocked because just mentioning a different idea to Makarov caused this to happen.
Каждый несет ответственности за свои ошибки.
Now, Season 5 comes along, and once again, Ivan returns. So obviously, that is weird to begin with. First off, he has a bullet hole in the side of his head, and he's also still wearing the Coney patch that is, of course, belonging to Vladimir Makarov's troops. So apparently, he got shot in the head and is still working for Makarov. However, it turns out that that wasn't really the case. We'll get into that one in a minute. Then we have Soap MacTavish. So this one happened last season. We did talk about it on the channel, but if you don't know, you didn't play the campaign, here's what you should know. By the very end of the campaign, our troops go down into a tunnel, specifically a train tunnel, where Vladimir Makarov has planted a dirty bomb. Our job is to stop him and obviously defuse it. And as we are defusing it, Soap, the demolitions expert, works alongside Captain Price to defuse the bomb, when we are interrupted by Vladimir Makarov.
Red wire, got it.
Take this to hell with you, Captain. Never bury your enemies alive.
So Soap MacTavish is shot in the head, and Vladimir Makarov runs off into the distance, never to be seen or heard from again. A really, really strange cliffhanger, because that's actually how the game ends. But clearly, and needless to say, Soap MacTavish shot in the head and bleeds out on the ground. We even get a scene after this where, indeed, we have a funeral for Soap MacTavish. We see an urn, everything along those lines, but yet, this is what happened. Season 4 of Modern Warfare 3 comes along, and once again, we see the return of Soap MacTavish. Now, this time, he does have a little bit of a different look. He is brought back, but I will say, during the cinematic for Season 4, they do explain this off by making the season set in the year 2022. In other words, before the events of Modern Warfare 3, somewhat explaining the fact of how he returns. It's a flashback. It is not currently happening, if you will. So because of the lack of cutscenes and continuation of story, which I will come back to in a moment, we didn't really know what was going on with these characters. They appear to be dead in the campaign, yet they are returning in the multiplayer. Well, Season 5 comes along, and now that has changed. What I mean by this is if we go into our character's bio, let's start out with Soap MacTavish, they've actually updated them in Season 5. It says at the very bottom, in 2023, Soap was KIA, or in other words, killed in action, responding to a terror attack in London Tunnel led by Vladimir Makarov and his Coney Group soldiers. So they didn't put a cutscene, but they did have to confirm what happened to them, because needless to say, people were very confused. Similarly, with Ivan, aka Ares, we have a similar bio, and again, at the very bottom, for questioning his leader and wasting time, Ivan was executed by Makarov at the Coney base in 2023, once again confirming his death as well. In other words, telling us that indeed, the Modern Warfare 3 campaign is canon. What happened in there legitimately happened. They're just bringing characters back, I guess, to sell bundles. So originally I was going to make this video and kind of explain why I thought these story elements were bad, but I think a much more important aspect to this is the fact that they have to add this into the bio of these characters is really not a good thing. This should be something that is obvious. If a character dies in the campaign, it should be pretty straightforward moving forward. At the very least, when these characters were added in, specifically Soap MacTavish, this should have been in their bio already. Not to mention that this was a character already in the game because of Modern Warfare 2. But it lends to the question, if we go back to Modern Warfare 2019, when new seasons came out for that game, all of the operators that were put in order to push the story forward. So for example, when Alex was added into the game, I believe it was like with season 3, they added him into the game because they were showing that indeed in the campaign, he did not die. So whenever we see these characters come back, that's already what we are assuming because that is the canon and what they've established in their previous game. The campaign ends, and then pushing forward, they put forth a new narrative to further bring us more content and more story to the game. That is what's to be expected at this point. Not to mention, the campaign was so bad in Modern Warfare 3 and was left off on such a big cliffhanger, I think we all assumed they were going to push forth this story, the one about Vladimir Makarov, what happened with Soap MacTavish, the death of General Shepard, and all of these other questions up in the air. They were going to tell us and explain this to us within the various different seasons. And in fact, they started to. With season 1 of Modern Warfare 3, they reintroduced Nolan, explaining to us that he escaped Task Force 141's custody and was once again working with Vladimir Makarov. They started to tell this story and move forward with it. However, for some reason, this just got completely abandoned moving forward and just more and more questions were left forth. Now, there could be many reasons for this, and if they just kind of ran out of time and Sledgehammer needed to work on other things, that's understandable. But at the same time, when you're expecting something and the story has been really bad up until this point, and you expect the story to at least be kind of explained, the way that it should be explained isn't with fixing their poor narrative and poor decisions to bring back characters with just a line at the bottom of a bio. It's better than nothing, and yes, it does give us some closure, but at the same time, what are you doing? I don't know. I'm just mind-blown by this one at this point, and I really hope moving forward into Black Ops 6, I really hope through the seasons, they continue to push forward a narrative and don't do what they did this year with Modern Warfare 3. I really don't like it. But anyway, let me know what you think down in the comments, and I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. I just wanted to make this video clarifying things, but that's what we know so far. So I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, peace.
We are